Hello, welcome back. So this is your next video for the unit that we've been working in, Unit 4, which is about functions. And we've been working a lot with linear equations, right? This whole time, talking about lines that can be expressed as equations. And that brings us to this next lesson. And your learning target is that you will be able to write a linear equation in point-slope form. Okay, so if you recall in class, I have told you over the past few weeks that you can actually write linear equations in a few different formats. Okay, we have been doing slope-intercept form, right? Y equals mx plus b, which is my favorite format. But today we're gonna get into a different format for writing a linear equation called point-slope. Right there, and here's what it looks like, just so you can kind of get a feel for it before we start working with it. This is point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals m. Do you know what m stands for? You better. Parentheses x minus x1 parentheses. Now, this looks terrible, doesn't it? You know, you're looking like you're about to have a heart attack. And it's okay. It's not that bad, right? I promise. What you're going to see as we start to work with this point-slope form is that you'll be plugging numbers into 3 of these 5 positions, right? You'll be plugging a number into the y1 spot and the x1 spot, and you'll be plugging in the value of slope, right? That's what m is. M is slope. So don't get all panicky when you see this formula or this format. It's not really all that bad. This page, I'm going to highly suggest that you put me on pause and write all this down. Or if you're good at taking screenshots, you might want to take a screenshot and print this thing out. A lot of good information on here. Again, there's a definition for point-slope form. It's just a linear equation that's written in the form of y minus y1 equals m times, parenthesis, x minus x1, okay? Now, step 1 is kind of what I would call a maybe step. You might need step 1, you might not. Depends on how the question is given to you. Step 1 says, if the slope is not provided, so if the problem does not tell you what the slope of the line is, you need to do step 1. Step 1 says use the points that are provided, meaning they will give you 2 points. They'll give you 2 ordered pairs to find the slope of the line. So if they don't give you the slope of the line, they will give you 2 ordered pairs. And then you'll need to use those ordered pairs to calculate the slope. So then I put in blue, just as a reminder, I'm looking right here, that slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x. So if you have 2 points, 2 ordered pairs, it's this. y2 minus y1 on top, x2 minus x1 down below on bottom. Okay, so it turns into like a subtraction problem between the points so that you can find the slope of the line. Okay, so now after step 1, you definitely know the slope of your line. You'll have m equals whatever. Okay, and you need to just kind of hang on to that and let it sit for a minute because now we have to go on to step 2. Everybody has to do step 2 no matter what. Step 2 says pick one of the points. Sometimes they only give you 1. Sometimes they give you more than 1. But you definitely need 1 point, and you're going to plug the x and the y value in for the y1 and x1 positions within that formula that I gave you earlier. So the y1 and x1 will come from the ordered pair, or the point that the problem gives you. And like I said, if they give you 2 ordered pairs, you just have to pick one of them, and you're going to use the x and the y from that point. Okay. Then step 3 is that slope that you calculated from step 1, or the slope that the question already tells you, that it already provides, you're going to plug that in for the m position in that formula. So once again, you are plugging into this position, and that position. That's where you're going to be putting these numbers. Okay. So the easy problems are like this. Oh, we like these problems. I say that these are easy problems because it says a line that passes through this point and has a slope of 6. They give you everything you need. You don't have to calculate the slope on this one. You can skip step 1 and go straight to step 2. Just for a reminder, there's your formula or your point slope form. We're going to start plugging these numbers in. My suggestion to you is to label that this is your x1 and that is your y1. That will help you keep these numbers straight as we're plugging into that formula. Okay, so the 8, the y1 is going to go there, and the 4, which is the x1, he's going to go clear over there. I just saw that I made a mistake. Goodness sakes. How about that? That's better. I'm so sorry. There we go. You know, I'm only human. And then the slope of 6, bingo, he's going to go there. So you basically just have to plug these numbers in. Here we go. Y minus y1, which is 8, equals your slope, which is 6, parenthesis, x minus x1, which is 4. Disco, that's it. You're done. You do nothing more with it. That's it. You stop there. Okay, let's look at the next one. Right in point slope form, the line that passes through the point of 2, -7 and has a slope of 1/2. Fantastic. There's your x1, y1, and that's your m. So, y minus y1. What's y1? -7. Ooh, that's a little bit of an issue when we have some negatives. We're going to have to be real careful about subtracting negatives like that. What's my slope? Half. X minus x1, which is 2. Okay, well, here's the deal. This isn't bad. It's not terrible, but it's really not perfect, okay? And here's what I mean by that. When you have y minus -7, that's kind of like nails on a chalkboard for me. Subtracting a negative really needs to be written as this. Subtracting a -7 is the same thing as adding just a +7, right? You've heard me say minus a negative is plus a positive. So really, ideally, this is the best way to write this. That doesn't change, and that doesn't change. So this would be my preference, because this is really not allowed, right? Don't ever subtract a negative. Just turn that to a plus. And that goes back to your days of working with integers, which integers can be tricky for kids. So if that's one of those little things that really never stuck in your brain, you know, that's kind of understandable. But here's a perfect example of a time when now we kind of have to put that knowledge to work. So make sure that you make note of that, because it's going to happen a couple times on these problems. So again, let me say these are the easy problems, and these are easy because the question has provided us with the slope and 1 point. These next questions, they don't give you the slope. All they give you are 2 points. And boy, oh boy, we've got work to do. So in these questions, the directions say, give the point slope form equation for the line that passes through these 2 points. Okay. I'm going to write it up here. See if I can do it right this time. Hey, I think I got it right. I need the slope of the line. Now I have to do step 1. Step 1 was calculate the slope. Well, you know what I'm going to tell you. I think you should label your points. I think I like x1, y1, and I like x2, y2. I think it just keeps things straight. I think it's a good idea. Let's do step 1. Let's calculate the slope. Change in y. So look at your y's. We take a 3 minus a 0. That goes on top. Change in x goes on bottom. The x goes from a -4 to a 0. All right, now I'm going to do the math. 3 minus 0 is 3. -4 minus 0 is -4. Your slope is -3/4. That's your m. Now we're going to just set that aside. Now we have to choose one of these points, because you only need one, to plug into your formula. So I'm going to choose this one. This is the one I'm going to use, and I'm going to plug the x1 and the y1 into the formula I wrote at the top of the screen. So ready? Here it goes. Y minus y1, which is 0, equals m, grab it, you already calculated it over there, it's negative 3/4, parentheses, x minus x1. Look back, what's the x1? It's a 0. Done. It's done. You calculated the slope, you plugged that in, you chose one of the points, the 0, 0 point is this one I decided to use, and you plug that into your x1 and y1 positions. Got to do it again. Once again, there's no slope, so that's mission number 1, find the slope. Change in y. Oh boy, you know what? Better do this. I really think that's a good idea to label those points like that. Label the coordinates so that you can keep it straight. Let's look at the y's. We're going from a negative 15 to a negative 5. So negative 15 minus negative 5. And we're going from a 3 to a negative 3. 3 minus negative 3. Here's the math. Negative 15 minus negative 5 is negative 10. And 3 minus negative 3 is 6. Okay, that can be simplified, and you really should. If the fraction can be reduced or simplified, it's always a good idea. There's your slope, 5/3. Okay, now, pick one of the points that you're going to plug into your formula. I'm going to choose that guy. I like that guy. Oh, there's some negatives here. We're going to have some work. Y minus y1. What's y1? Negative 5 equals my slope. This is what I calculated. X minus x1. What's x1? Ugh, negative 3 again. Remember what I said? When it's minus a negative, you need to correct that so that it's plus a positive. That changed. This does not. This needs to change. Woohoo! Look at that. That is point slope form. Interesting, huh? Not really super user friendly. Like if I were to ask you to use that to graph a line, I could teach you how to do it, but it's just really not a super friendly format. It just isn't. We have 2 more problems and then we're done. Write an equation in point slope form for the line that's been graphed. And then it says use the point on the right side of the graph. Well, that's good. They tell us what point to use. Okay, so I'm looking at this line that's been graphed. Okie doke. There it is. I don't see a whole lot of information provided. Looks like I need to calculate the slope. That's not hard. Remember, slope is rise over run. So what's the rise from here to here? Up 3. That's a positive 3. And the run, positive 2. So now I know my slope is 3 over 2. Now, which point am I supposed to use? The directions told me which point to use. The directions said use the point on the right side. That's this point. Okay, so what are the coordinates of that point? Over 1, up 2. That's the ordered pair that I need to use when I write the equation. So I've got everything I need. This is my x1 and y1. So here we go. Oh, and this is your m, if that helps. Y minus y1, which is 2, equals the slope, x minus x1, which is 1. Done. Done, done, done. Good. Let's try one more, and then I'll turn you loose. Same thing. Write the equation in point slope form for this graph line. Use the point on the right-hand side. Fantastic. Not a problem. You got this. First up, let's do the slope. Rise over run. from here down to here. I go down 1, 2, 3. That's a -3, so my top number is a -3. It's actually a fall, right? Not a rise. And the run. 1, 2, 3, 4, +4. There's a slope, -3/4. Which point am I supposed to use? Direction said, use the point on the right-hand side. That's this guy. His location is 2, -1. Good. I've got everything I need to plug into my formula. Ready? Y minus y1. What's y1? Ugh, -1 again. Boo. Equals the slope you told me was -3/4, or maybe I told you. And x minus x1, 2. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. Let's fix it. How about that? That looks better. Nothing else has to change. That makes me happy. Y plus 1 equals -3/4 times x minus 2. Awesome. Hey, I didn't say this stuff was super easy, but it's certainly within your ability. I would not try to teach you something if I didn't think you could tackle it. So, we're going to spend a couple days in class going over how to do this and practicing with this format. And we'll be working on a worksheet, right? So there's nothing in the textbook that you need to be working on at this time. Okay? Hey, thanks for your time, and I'll see you in class.